Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are working on turbocharging this MS440 clone. Already running into a few little snags, but we're getting it figured out. Of course, trying to package this, in a spot that it's just not hanging off and just kind of jerry-rigged. I really want this to be as close to where the muffler would be as possible. So that's why I ditched the stock handle and mocked up a MS660 handle. This is a wrap. And it is going to work. It's just going to need a little bit of modification over here. But what that does is raises the distance between the cylinder and the handle, which allows us to kind of put the turbo where we want it. I made some flanges, some turbo flanges for mounting it to the cylinder and the turbo. So we got that knocked out, and as of right now I'm just getting ready to weld these out. So as of right now, this is a wastegated turbo. If we didn't have the wastegate on there, give me a hug. I'll be in here.
I want apple juice.
Huh?
We have an apple juice?
Have you had one already?
No.
Well, go get one and I'll open it for you. Hang on just a second. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Love you, buddy. I'll be in here in a little bit, okay? Here, you might want to open that. It's going to get real dark. Don't chug that stuff. Sorry about that. The sun is going to bed. Oh, and another thing, I failed miserably at editing my last video. That I'm gonna have to readdress that. I'm back on my phone. I was using a GoPro, and that is gonna require a learning curve. I don't know how many hours I spent on trying to get that figured out, and it was a struggle. And I still messed it up. I think I'm gonna try some different editing software, and I think we'll have a little bit better luck with that. But yeah, I just wanted to address how shitty the last video was. Where were we at? Oh yeah, 660 handle. That gives us room to get this thing jammed in here. I think this is a wastegated turbo. It is a 15 PSI spring in here, so it'll make 15 pounds of boost. I mean, that's an ungodly amount, I feel like. I think this thing would just explode. But I think before I try to, let me grab this other carb. think before I try to put this big carb on here, I am going to leave the factory 044 or 440 carb on the saw and just try a blow through. I just don't know what to expect. I don't know. We're just gonna figure it out. You know, I don't care what we have to do. I want to figure it out. We got some oiling things that we need to address on the turbo too, so we don't just burn it up. But I would like to just try to blow through the factory carb. We might have to jet up, I don't know, or drill it out. On the oiling, you know, typically these turbos are fed with pressurized oil for the bearing, which is going to be a challenge. I would like to do a test. I would like to just fill the cartridge, the housing up with oil, you know, maybe some of the best synthetic oil, you know, I can get, and then just cap it off. My only concern with that is if it does leak out of the center section of the turbo, you know, go into the exhaust, you're going to be losing oil. I don't think that's going to be a problem. My concern with capping this off and just filling this with oil is it just cook, you know, is it just going to cook the oil in the center section? But we can test that out, and we'll just have to kind of address these things as we go. This is technically non-adjustable, this wastegate here, but I think we can put a valve in between our like our actual boost pressure and the wastegate, and kind of control the wastegate as we need it, because I mean a couple pounds of boost I would think would be a lot. I also have, let me go grab this other piston. So I do have a Wiseco piston that will work on this. I would either have to, I have a factory 460 top end that is well used, but it's functional. This is actually a 50 millimeter standard bore tight to nickel cylinder that I ported. I cannot believe the plating did not chip on this thing when I ported it, but it did not. Shockingly, these are a bitch. I don't think I'll ever do another one of those ever again. Honestly, highway, regular highway, Meteor, tight nickel, you're basically just throwing money down the drain if you're gonna try to port those. They just, the plating chips. You can you know, be as meticulous as you possibly can. Use diamonds. I don't mess with them anymore. But yeah, if we need to, I've got just an aftermarket. Hell, I'll use a Farmer Tech top end to port before I'll use another one of these to try to port these. But we do have a good piston that I know that's not just going to explode. And this all does have a factory crank in it, so it's basically, it's got a factory carb, it's got an OEM steel crank in it, and then the bearings I believe are OEM, it's been quite a while since I did this one. But everything else is just aftermarket. So yeah, so where we're at is this is kind of where I want to go with this. If we didn't have to have this goddamn wastegate on here, we would have so many more mounting options. I literally been out here for 2 hours just trying to figure out where I want to put this thing. I would want the weight, the majority of the weight of the turbo is the center section back. So I really want that dead center. That way that the saw is just not so awkward to hold. I mean, it's already going to be a behemoth. It's going to be heavy. I'd like to maybe try to shed a little bit of weight off of this rear end housing, but we'll see. But kind of this is where I'm at right now. So it's going to be sitting about like that. I've tried every other way. I don't think you really want it straight up and down. Of course, we got the exhaust we got to worry about. But literally, then you have to have this clocked a certain way to have the wastegate mount correctly. So you're just kind of limited on options. But as of right now, this about right there is where it's going to sit. Of course, we'll have to route this up and over or down and around or whatever to feed the inlet to the carb, which that's another thing that I'm gonna have to figure it out, because I'm gonna have to seal. That's gonna have to be sealed. Everything's gonna have to be sealed up so it doesn't have a massive boost leak. So that's why I think, having some sort of boot on just directly off of the cylinder, and then, like a silicone boot, something that you can really clamp down, because I don't know how much pressure this is gonna hold between the carburetor and the intake boot before it starts leaking out. But of course, like I said, I just want to see if it's going to work. I'm just so freaking curious. Kind of what I wanted to do before I even get a charge pipe, like a cold side pipe on it, is just get the turbo bolted onto the saw, and then just see if we can get this thing to spool up. It would, if I need to put a bar and a chain on it and get it loaded up, get the saw loaded to get it to spool, that's fine. But I just want to see if we can, if we cover this housing here, is it going to build boost pressure? That's kind of what I'm curious about. Just to give you an idea, this thing is, the compressor wheel is just itty bitty. So is the exhaust turbine. It's just tiny. That's why surely, if we got 15,000 RPMs worth of engine here, you would just think that would be plenty of exhaust to drive that turbo. That's another thing. I wanted this header as short as possible. That way we get as much drive on the turbo as we can. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So I'm gonna weld this up real quick, at least this side, and then probably be about all I'm gonna be able to do tonight. So okay, got that thing cooled off, and it wasn't too bad, but it did warp. It bowed it to where it was high in the center. So I just took it over while I could and just quickly cleaned it up on the mill so it would at least be nice and flat. So when we bolt it on, it is good to go. So let's see if the first thing we made even fits. I don't see it not fitting, but let's get this shit out of the fucking way. I like using just a small piece of aluminum like that because then you can just hook your ground to it and weld whatever you need, and you're not messing with your ground. So let's run on a couple bolts. That'll work. I think when I actually mount this thing on, I am going to just put some studs out of some, make some all, studs out of some all thread and thread them in as far as they can go, and then just use nuts to hold it on. I'm also going to take a piece of metal and I'll just have a mount that bolts down here and then comes up and hooks, and just weld the mount to this flange. So of course we don't want all that weight hanging off of these two little M5 bolts, that's for sure. See, that's what I was worried about right there. So we need some, all right, I just need to go grab a couple socket cap screws. Somewhere on this table. If you work on chainsaws, I swear, M5 by 20 socket cap screws. I just went and bought a whole box of 50. It was like $4, if that. This should be a lid. Yeah, there we go. not grab two out of there. Man, I tell you what, you can get a mess going quick. Leeway. I'm gonna go grab something. I'm gonna show you how I made that shape. For doing exhausts and working on pipes and stuff, I just made like a mandrel on my mill, and then you can just take your pipe. Of course, this pipe is almost too big, but for the smaller diameter ones, this thing is awesome. You can just slide your pipe over there, drive this down on the pipe, and then just use a ball peen and form it to the shape you need. So let's bolt this guy. These are gonna be way too long. That's the thread. So we're gonna have to switch because this one's buggered up thread. We're gonna make this shorter. I don't even know where these bolts came from. I just found them in a old bolt bin. Okay. Shoot, we're not even past the felling dog. I honestly think I might sand this down, take just a little bit more to get it really tucked back in there. And I'm also on this, I'm definitely going to just make some studs. That way you can just thread, just have the stud length that you need sticking out, put a nut on the end. So you're not, because that would be a nightmare to try to get those bolts on. should work. I don't see why not. I just want to make sure that it gets clocked how I want it. I mean, it's really not that much room to, should just make it dead level, be done with it. This way, if I do end up doing, you know, putting an intake and then mounting the carb somewhere and drawing fuel through the turbo, I got plenty of room there. When I first started, I was wanting to put the turbo kind of at an angle like this, but it just eliminates options in the future, and then you'd have to remake all this shit, and I don't want to do that. So but yeah, I'm happy with the progress so far. Oh, and as you can see, there's no chain brake. There will not be a chain brake lever. I just took all that stuff off. I think we'll survive. That won't even go off 95% of the time anyways. Yeah, that gives us room for everything, and I can, this cartridge, actually it's about where it needs to be. It just needs to be rotated up a little bit. But yeah, that's how far I made it on the first day. So see, kind of not too bad for a couple hours in. So yeah, anybody have any suggestions, feel free. This is just a play around kind of deal. I don't know, I don't know if the compression needs to be lowered or what, to really make this thing happy and operate. I don't fucking know, but we're gonna figure it out. This thing is not like an ungodly hot build by any means. It has literally no runtime on this cylinder and piston. It's like brand new, but it's still got a decent amount of compression, but nothing too crazy. So I think that's kind of why I chose this. I've got a 660 clone over there that's a behemoth, but I just thought, you're adding that much weight to an already heavy saw. That's why I chose to do it to this one, because those are they're just so goddamn big and heavy. But I mean, hell, we could take this thing up to 76, or actually I think you can do, yeah, we could do a 56 millimeter, no, 54 millimeter top end if we really wanted to, but I don't think we're gonna do all that. So yeah, we're making progress. Tomorrow evening, when I get some time, I am going to get the mount, and get this made and get this actually bolted to the saw, and then we can actually test run the saw and see if it's going to make boost. And actually I need to get online and order a mechanical boost gauge, because I actually don't have a mechanical. All the ones I have are electronic. So, which we could rig something up, but I'll just buy a cheapo. So yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate it, guys. I'll see you on the next one.